Dear friends, the earliest records about Jesus start in his adulthood, when he was about 30 to 35 years old. And by the way, the average lifespan of ancient farmers might not be much longer, possibly 40 years. Anyhow, Matthew and Luke attempted to fill that gap, and they gave us their individual nativity stories. Luke also included a story about a 12-year-old Jesus in the temple. Yet it did not stop with the Bible. From the end of the first century onward, people continued to fill this gap of Jesus' childhood. And from the second century onward, we have diverse manuscripts of what is called the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. In Greek, it has this title, Ta paidikia kai megaleia hosaepoiesen ho Kyrios hemon. The childish deeds as well as mighty works performed by our Lord. This childhood Gospel of Thomas follows a well-established Hellenistic genre of childhood deeds of famous heroes of antiquity like Achilles or Alexander the Great. The childhood Gospel of Thomas contains about 24 of stories, and they must have been very popular from the late antiquity and into medieval times, because we have Greek version that was probably the original, and Latin, Old Slavonic, Syriac, Arabic, Georgian, Ethiopic, all these different versions. They were quite entertaining stories narrated in a crude language and style. Having different versions from different times, we can even observe how they grew ever more sensational and even grotesque. And here is an example from the late stage of the development of this gospel. Version of the chapter 9 from the 10th century, preserved in Latin and Slavonic. A few days later, Jesus was playing on a house with a tower. The sun is like shining in through a rent in the roof, and there was this beam of light. And Jesus jumped up and sat on that sunbeam. Another boy saw it and also wanted to sit next to Jesus, but he tumbled off the tower and died. So when other boys who were there also playing, and when they saw what happened, they ran to his parents yelling, "Your child fell off the tower!" And the parents of the dead boy came and accused Jesus. "You pushed our child down to the certain death." But Jesus answered, "I didn't push him. He himself wanted to sit next to me on a sunbeam. That was how he fell down." But they grabbed Jesus and took him to a judge, shouting, "He killed our boy. He is guilty of a bloodshed." The judge asked Jesus, "Did you kill him?" And Jesus is like, "Ask him yourself." And they said, "How could we possibly ask the broken bones? He is altogether crushed." But Jesus took him by hand and said, "Enomin," that was his name, "get up and tell us who pushed you down." And the boy got up immediately and said, "No, Lord, you did not push me. I myself fell down." All who were present at that court saw it and were knocked speechless. And the parents of the boy praised God for the miracle that had happened and worshipped Jesus. Friends, that was my attempt to capture that folksy tone of this gospel. There are even later Latin manuscripts mentioning several children who wanted to sit on a beam and all fell headlong down and broke their arms and legs. But Jesus healed them all afterwards. In this childhood Gospel of Thomas, we can observe final stages of the process which started with the biblical nativity stories, which we know and read with such delight every Christmas. And that is something you might not know about the biblical and early Christian traditions. So join us this Sunday, the 26th of December. Our Sunday school children prepared for us a post-Christmas production of the childhood Gospel of Thomas, lovingly dramatized by Chris Jones.